Alright, welcome back to another episode of Splinterlands. Today I'll be talking about how I attained 2500 rating, which is a gold 1 equivalent with only 4000 power. Now as you can see that my power is at 54,000, but that's because I rented some cards to collect the rewards before the season ends. But to show you my actual power rating, right, you can see that in my airdrop points, I only have 4200 collection power. Right, so now I'm going to give you the breakdown of this video and I will talk about four things. The introduction to Gold League, right? So some things to take note when renting the cards, and probably the most important part of this video, which is a complete breakdown and analysis of what I rented to achieve 2500 rating with only 4000 power and 1000 deck. Right, and the last point I want to talk about is some tips for combat once you have assembled your deck. So if you just want to see the breakdown, which is over here, and I'm going to talk about this later, right, feel free to scroll past and I'll put a timestamp to point number 3. But essentially, this is what this video is all about, right? So during this phase, I rented a total of 16 cards, right? 3 summoners, 5 neutrals, and 8 light cards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, 9 light cards, 17. Right, and I spent a total of 1000 DEC. So I'll talk about this later. Okay, so before I start with this video proper, I just want to have some assumptions for you guys. So number one, I already assume that you already sort of understand how the game works, such as monster skills, so monsters abilities like heal, return, void, knockout, and whatnot. Right, secondly, you would already know that in this game there are different game types every time, right? Like sometimes you have poison, sometimes you have flying, sometimes you have odd number cards that you can use, sometimes they limit your splinters and you can only use fire, right? And thirdly, you have about 1000 DEC. And not to worry that you will lose this 1000 DEC, because in this time that you play the game, right, you will earn it back. And maybe I should mention it now that actually I only rented these cards for 1 day. 1 day only. Okay, so now let's start with the introduction to Gold League. What is Gold League? If you click over here, hover over here and click Leagues, right? And then this will come out. So Gold League is, to qualify for Gold League, you need a rating of 1900 to a rating of 2799. And to actually be in Gold League, you will need 100,000 power, right, for Gold 3 and 200,000 power for Gold 1, which could be attained by renting cards. So this is the rewards for Gold League, right? Gold 3 you have 22 loot chests, and Gold 1 you have 30 loot chests. Right? As opposed to lower ranks where, let's say you have Bronze 2, right, you only have 7 loot chests. So this is the reward system for Gold League. And then one thing to mention is that in Gold League there is a summoner level limit. Right, so for common is 8, for rare is 6, for epic is 5, and for legendary is 3. I'm going to explain more on this now. So if you don't already know, right, in Splinterlands you can upgrade your cards. So let's say you open a daily chest, right, and then you have 2 Cobalt Bruiser somehow. So you'll be like, oh, what do I do with an extra Cobalt Bruiser? So if you have an extra Cobalt Bruiser, click the card, right, hover to stats, and then you will realize that there is a max level of 10. And then to get to level 10, you will need a total of 400 cards. So right now everyone have, when they buy the spellbook, they would have a level 1 Cobalt Bruiser. And then you can level it up. If you have 5 of the same card, you can level it up to level 2, which gives you 1 health. So why is this so important in Gold League? Because for common cards, right, you can play the monster up to a max level of 8. And as you can compare with level 1 Cobalt Bruiser and level 8 Cobalt Bruiser, right, level 1 Cobalt Bruiser gives you 2 mini, 2 speed and 3 health. Level 8 Cobalt Bruiser on the other hand gives you 3 melee, 4 speed and 6 health, which kind of is like a mini tank already, and that is really powerful. So what you want in Gold League is you want to maximize the level that you can use, right? So for common, you can use the monster up to a level of 8, right? For rare, you can use the monster up to a level of 5. And what is 5? You see? So Cerberus is a very very good card, right? Even at level 1 because it has heal. But at level 5, not only does it have 1 more attack and 2 more health, you also get another skill which is retaliate and heal on top of that, which is insanely powerful. Okay, so now we know that monsters have a level 2 and you can upgrade your monsters, and similarly you can also upgrade your summoners. And this is the most important part you need to know, right? So if you upgrade your monsters to level 8 but your summoner is level 1, right? You cannot use it, right? If you have a level 1 summoner, you can only use cards that are level 1 in each category. So what you need to do is to play for Gold League, you will need a 6-star summoner, which is a level 6 summoner, so that you can play your level 8 cards, your level 8 common card, your level 6 rare cards, your level 5 epic cards, and your level 3 legendary cards. This is a common problem that most beginners have because they will just buy a monster at level 10 and then they will realize like, why can't I use this level 10 monster? Right? Two reasons. Number one is that you will need a summoner of an equal level. Right? So if you want to play level 10 common cards, you need a level 8 summoner. And number two, your summoner level is restricted at every league. If you can see, your summoner level limits is at level, so you can only use a maximum level of 8 for common cards in Gold League, right? In Bronze League, you can only use a maximum level of 3. So even if you have a level 10 monster and a level 6 summoner and you are in Bronze League, you can only use level 3 stats. And this is quite confusing, but I think at the end of this video, it might be a little bit clearer for you. Right? So just take note that before anything, note what league you are in, look at this, and look at the summoner. Right? Look at the summoner. So just now we were talking about rare summoners, right? And then for rare summoners, you need to be level 6 to have this 8653. But if you want a legendary summoner, it's all cards, right? You don't need level 6, you just need level 3. Right? 8653. And you see the idea over here? So, yeah, that's all for the introduction. You will need a high level summoner, high level monsters to climb up the Gold League. Okay, so I'll go on to number 2 right now. Things to take note when renting cards. I think part A I already mentioned and is very very important is that you need monsters and summoners level. You need to get a high summoner level before you think about getting a high monster level. And you may ask like, oh, is it expensive to get to rent out a level 6? Let's say if I want Maoric, right? Actually, it depends on the summoner. But if you just click rent, right, you can see this is level 1. That's why it's only 0.17 DEC. Hover over this and click BCX down. Now you can see that you can rent a level 6 at 196. You can rent a level 7 at 160 DEC. which is actually cheaper than a level 6. Right? Some level 6 are actually quite cheap. So yeah, it's not that expensive to rent a high level summoner. So now we're talking about usability. What is usability? Simply means that when you rent a card, right? Things to take note when renting cards means when you rent a card, you want this time icon to be grayed out. So you want to rent a card like this. Yes, you want to rent this. What you do not want to do is rent a card like this, because if you rent a card like this, right, this card was recently used in battle and will not able to be played in ranked matches for 17 hours. All this means essentially is that you are renting a useless card. So when you rent this card, you can't use it. You can only get a power bonus, but you can't use it. So take note when you rent any card, make sure that it is grayed out so that you can use it immediately after you rent. Okay, thirdly, I want to talk about finding cheaper cards. Well, what do I mean by finding cheaper cards? We talk about Gold League, right? We talk about common, and the max level of the monster you can use is 8. Wait, where am I actually? Monster. Right, so let's see, if you want to use Flame Monkey, right? And you want over to BCX over here. Like sometimes this level 8 monster is much more expensive than a level 7 monster. Hey, in this case it's not, so you can just get it for 20 DC if you want to get a Flame Monkey. But when it is the case that is much more expensive, like let's say, take for example this Flaming Monkey, someone's selling a level 8 at 200 DC, right? And then a level 7 is about 25 DC. You have to make the choice whether you want a Flame Monkey at level 8, right? Or level 8 or level 7. And so how do you make this choice, right? Whether to sacrifice some DEC to get a lower level monster. How do you make this choice? Look at the stats of the card. In this case, from a level 7 to a level 8, right, it gives you 1 more health, which is not that game changing. However, if from a level 7 to a level 8, you have an extra ability, or maybe it gives you an extra attack, right? Or maybe it's wiser to spend a little bit more DEC to get the level 8 monster instead of the level 7 monster. Right, so in this case for Charlotte Minotaur, right, level 8 and level 7 is just 1 health difference, so well, you can get a level 7 if it's cheaper. Right, I'm just clicking random cards actually, but look at this, attained Spearman. Level 7 to level 8, right? You have an extra ability, right? Does double damage when attacking an enemy that is stunned. And maybe let's say if the ability is like heal, or the ability is like void, or ability is like return. It's a very significant ability that may change the game. Try to get a level 8. Okay, so we talk about usability, which is to get the timer that is grayed out, means you can use it immediately. And finding cheaper cards means that sometimes you don't always need to get the max level. So sometimes you don't always need to get level 3 legendaries if it's too expensive. Right? You can just make do with level 1 legendaries. Let's say over here, if I click legendary and I click something, let's say Lord of Fire, right? So to get level 3, right, because the max level is level 3, is 150, right? But just now I saw to get level 1, it was 15. So just make the decision for yourself, right? Is this tool very important to you? Is it worth getting the level 3 monster with these 2 extra abilities at a higher price, or getting a level 1 monster with just this ability at a much lower price? It depends on your budget. Just make the decision by yourself. Okay, so that's number 2, right? So number 3, I will talk about a complete breakdown and analysis of what I rented and my thought process to achieve 2500 rating, right, with only 4000 power and 1000 DEC. So there are 4 parts to this, right? The first is the setup. What you need to do beforehand. What does this mean? So, okay, I'll give you an explanation now. What does this mean to set up your grind? Means that you want your capture rate to be 100%. You don't want to keep playing until about 20% or 10%, and then you start this idea of grinding up to gold 1, right? So you want your capture rate to be as high as possible, because as you climb up the ranks, you get more DEC, right? Can you see I get 28.968 DEC, right? Whenever I win, 27.521 DEC. If your capture rate is low and you are grinding, right, you don't get DEC back. You don't get much DEC back. And you can't even cover the 1000 DEC that you have spent renting all the cards. So firstly, you want to have a high capture rate, right? Yeah, let me just, okay. Secondly, you want to have time, because when you're grinding, you are under this 1 day, or rather 24 hours expiry rate. In 24 hours, your rental cards will disappear because you will be only renting it for 1 day. And if you don't have time to play in these 24 hours, I suggest you don't rent it. So maybe play on the weekend, right? Maybe think about it on the weekend. So if you want to grind on the weekend, right? So you don't play on Thursday and Friday just to get your capture rate up to a near 100%. And when Saturday, let's say if you have time on Saturday, you want to start on Saturday, only then you rent the cards and then you start playing on Saturday itself, right? Simply just have time. The third one is kind of something that I got from playing Hearthstone, is you must play during the mid-season. So what does mid-season mean? Well, one season lasts for about 2 weeks, right? Mid-season means you don't play when the new season starts, or you don't play right now when the season is going to end. So why is this the case? When you think about it, when the new season starts, everybody want to rush for the highest rank. And when everybody want to rush for the highest rank, that means that they have the ability to rush for the highest rank, which means that they have the cards. They don't need to rent the cards, they have the cards. And they are the ones, they're the first mover in a sense. They want to go to the highest ranks as early as possible, and then they just stay there, right? So when you play during the start of the season, chances are you are playing with people that already know how to play the game. They are already really experienced in the game, and that's what you don't want to fight against. So try not to play when the season just starts. And why don't you want to play when the season is going to end? And that is because rental cards are really expensive. As you can see now, I'm only at 50,000 power because I can't find a golden legendary that is cheap. Every golden legendary right now is more expensive than when I just saw it during the mid-season. Right, let's see, I'll just show it to you right now. But usually golden legendaries in the mid-season goes for about 70 cents to $1. Can you see that now, because the season is going to end, everyone wants to pump up their power to their actual rating. In this case for me, my rating is 2500, which is gold 1. So I need 3 more golden legendaries, but it's way too expensive, right? In mid-season, the golden legendaries will start at about 70 cents or even lesser, right? And maybe this, if you want a summoner, right, you can get it for about $2.25. So these are the 2 reasons why you want to play during the mid-season. So this is a setup, right? So you set up your brain, you set up your essentially you plan for the day that you want to play. Okay, so that's for setup. Now the next is preparation. What does preparation mean? Preparation means what you need to know, means things that you need to know in the game, like knowing what elements you like. Know what elements you like to play. If you want to rent a whole new deck, a common sense is you want to rent a deck that you like to play. Let's say you don't like to play darkness or light, so avoid that, right? Try to focus on the elements you like to play and only play that element on that day. In this case, right, I played light in that 24 hours that I rented the cards. So for you, if you like, let's say magic, right, you like water, know what elements you like and then play only the element. And then the second thing is know what neutrals. Know what neutrals are good in the season. Right now, right, Goblin Mag, like Furious Chicken, Creeping Ooze, they're all really good in the season. So if you play the game for a while now, you generally know what you lose against. So when I first started the game, I always lost against one Goblin Mag. No matter what fire elements I put in, I will just lose against the Goblin Mag. So I know that Goblin Mag is actually quite decent, especially for low level, right? Bronze and Silver League. In this case, you need to know what are good and what are bad. So you when you go and rent the cards, you will know what to avoid. And yeah, I think that's it for the preparation. So to summarize this preparation, it just means know the game well. Right? Know the meta of the game and know the game well. So now we'll talk about the planning. So let's say you're already narrowed down to water. You like magic, right? So you like water. And two things you need to do now is you need to get water cards and you need to get neutral cards. But why I say neutral cards is because sometimes, right, sometimes, especially in Silver League, they will just, the game mode will be made in such a sense that you cannot use water. You can only use fire or whatever. So in that case, you need to get a dragon summoner, which is also a decent level so that you can play the monsters at their level, and you need to get neutral monsters. So you want to win as much as possible. If you can't play water, you still need to find a way to win, right? If they ban water and ban dragon, well, I guess you are doomed. But I'll talk about it in my fourth part, right? Some tips for combat. So the planning is to get 3 high level. So why 3? Right? Get 3 high level summoners, 2 from an element, and 1 from dragon. 2 from an element, usually 1 will be a legendary summoner. Like let's say for water it's Vulnerable. Let me just go here. So give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So owned summoners, water. No, not owned, all the cards. So what you want to get is you want to get a legendary one. So either Vulnerable or Deep Swimmer. And you want to get something that costs less. Also, you want to get cards. These two summoners, what you want to do is you want to get even and odd number cards. Right, so what I usually like is to get a legendary 7 mana summoner and a epic 2 mana summoner. Right, so if the game mode is play only even cards, I'll play 2 mana. If the game mode is play only odd number cards, I can still play, right? I can still play 7 mana. So get 2 summoners from the element that you want to play and 1 summoner from the dragon. Right, like I said before, in case that water is banned in that game mode. So for the dragon, you can get something like a +1 attack, Daria Dragon Scale or Selena Sky. What I got right in my breakdown of cards is I got Selena Sky. So I got a lot of cards in light that focuses on range attack. If you want to get Daria Dragon Scale, sure. So in water, you must focus on water attacks, right? To build your deck around your summoner. Okay, so get 3 high level summoners. And next is get cards that can buff your team or have a positive effect. Get cards that can buff your team and have a positive effect, because these cards are really powerful. What I'm talking about is, let me just give my own example. I got Baby Unicorn. So for 3 mana, right? Because I got it at 6, I think. 6 was cheap. Later I'll talk more about it. But I got it at 6 star. And it gives all my friendly monster 1 increased health and 1 increased speed. Which is quite, right, frankly speaking, quite insane. Just for 3 mana. So you want to find cards like this, right? One more card that I also got was Divine Healer. Although Divine Healer doesn't give me... I actually got level 5, but as you can see, I think I got level 5. Yeah, because the level 6 to 8 was a bit expensive for me at that time. But if you are light, consider getting Divine Healer too. At level 8, it can heal, it slows, and then it has 1 magic damage. All really powerful. So, once again, get cards that can buff your team or have a positive effect. And thirdly, get cards that are odd and even. And you need to know that, you need to kind of understand that you have to work around a lot of the game modes that are presented to you. So you have to get a variety of cards. Doesn't mean that one card is overpowered, so you just keep using that one card. Like let's say for Earth, right? Earth, and we talk about Kron the Undying, which is here. You cannot just have your win condition based solely on Kron the Undying. Because what if the game mode says, oh, play odd number cards? What if the game mode says no magic allowed? What if the game mode says only cards that are 4 mana or less? What if the game mode says no legendaries allowed? What if the game mode says, the everybody has equal health? There's so many things that affect this win condition of the card. So you cannot just put your win condition solely on one card. If you want to play Earth, you get this card, you get 7 mana cards, you get 3 mana cards, you get 1 mana card, right? You get 5 mana, 6 mana, you get a mixture of cards. Right? And this card is really good because it's a tank, right? It gives people strengthen, it's 1 mana, right? You may want to get it. Essentially what I'm saying is, get cards that are odd and even mana to work around the game conditions, and get cards that are expensive in mana and cheap in mana, which is for the same reasons as I mentioned earlier, right? You want to work around the game modes to essentially get a variety of cards. Okay, so now I've talked for quite a while, and right now I'm going to show you the exact breakdown of what I did. So I'm going to hover to this Google Docs right now. I rented a total of 17 cards. Just now I said 16 cards because halfway through my game I actually rented 1 more card, which is the Cyclops. But I'll talk about it later. So, and I just remembered it, right? So I rented a total of 17 cards, and these are my 3 summoners. Selena Sky, right, the one with the +1 range attack that is a dragon. Chances the Great, and Kiara Lightbringer. So these are 2 lights. This is the 7 mana one, and this is the 2 mana one. So I rented it for a total of this amount. And so now I'm talking about cards that I rent There are neutrals and light. So the first card I got was Grenadier. So why did I get Grenadier? Let's just hover to Grenadier now. Grenadier is this, right? So I got a 8653, right? So I got the max level that I could have gotten. 8653 stats 5. Why did I get Grenadier? I got it because it complements my cards. For Selena, right? It adds one range attack, and one range attack with Blast is really good, right? And for Kiara Lightbringer, it's only a 2 mana summoner, and if I play that, it usually means that I don't have a lot of mana to work with. That's why this card complements my summoners. Right? All the cards that you ran should, in one way or another, complement your summoners. Right? So the next card I got was Gelatinous Cube, 8 stars, 8 level 8, and it's a common card. Why I bought this card was because it's a really good card. Let me just show it to you. And even I got a shock because I never expected this card to be so good. At 8 mana, 6 at level 8, sorry, 6 mana you get a total of 13 health. And you get Scavenger. And you get Heal. I always use this as a tank, as opposed to Goblin Mech, because in gold level, people have a workaround Goblin Mech, which is magic damage. Although it has a lot of armor, right, it has very little health. But for Gelatinous Cube, not only can it heal, it can gain health also. And that's why I got it. It's a really strong common card. And it kind of complements my summoners in the sense that it's a relatively cheap common card. Like Goblin Mech. Goblin Mech is actually good if you check out its level 8 stats, right? So 4356 over here, and then 5378, and he has stun. So this can be a good tank, but from the games that I've played before, I actually didn't use this card that I got a lot because it only has 8 mana, and there's a lot of magic in gold. People know how to use magic, and then this Goblin Mech just dies, and it's 10 mana, so it's a bit costly. I got Centaur. Centaur is a range card, and Cyclops. It's a range neutral cards that when you first start the game, it's actually quite lousy because 4 mana, 1 damage, 3 speed, and 4 health. It's not that good, to be honest. But if you look at the stats at 8 mana, right, suddenly you have 3 range attack, which is very good. I got it at 7 mana because the 8 mana one was a bit too expensive, but in hindsight, I should have gotten the 8 mana one because 1 more range is actually very powerful. So this, now as a 4 mana, level 8, it becomes so much more powerful, right? Same goes for Cyclops. Why I got Cyclops halfway is because, where is Cyclops? Oh, Cyclops is a rare. Sorry, I mislabeled it. Why I got Cyclops? Because Cyclops has this. Yes, stun. And stun is so powerful if they have a very strong tank like Kraken or like Goblin Mech, right? Or a tank that can heal like Kron or Gelatinous Cube. When you stun it, they can't heal. And with stun and knockout, the combo, the tank just dies really quickly. Shield is quite negligible-ish for a range, but I got this because I needed a stun. So that's all for my neutrals. And now we talk about light. So light, what I tried to get was a mixture of cards, right? Like high mana cards and low mana cards. So if you want, you can just look at these cards. I'm just going to talk about a few cards. I already talked about Baby Unicorn, which gives more strength and more speed, and it's very powerful. I talked about Divine Healer also, and now I just want to talk about Peacebringer. So Peacebringer doesn't really have any abilities, right? Yeah, it doesn't have abilities, but at a level 1 itself, right, it's already quite powerful. 2 attack, 4 health, 3 speed. But at a level 6, it becomes 4 range attack. It's very powerful vanilla card. Vanilla means that it has no abilities, right? Also, yeah, actually these 3 cards over here, Peacebringer, Divine Healer, and Baby Unicorn, they actually got me quite a number of wins. And so yeah, so that's all the cards that I got. Yeah, I want to talk about Thunderbird actually. Yeah, okay, let's just talk about Thunderbird. Thunderbird is an epic card. And as you can see, I focus a lot of range, a lot of cards that are range. 8, 6, 5, 3. Because once again, it has stun. And it's flying. So if there's a mode that has flying, right, just use Thunderbird. And I got all this. You can see all the deck that I bought for one day. I only bought it for one day. So I spent quite a lot. And naturally, summoners are quite expensive, especially at a higher level. So I spent about 440 deck on summoners and this amount on neutral and light, which brings my total amount of deck that I spent at 1000. With that 1000 deck, I managed to climb from silver 3. You can't see all the fights, right? But I managed to climb from silver 3 all the way up. As you can see, sometimes I forgot that I actually clicked battle because I was doing other things. But when there is light, right? When I can play light, I will usually win. See, even at times where I can't play light and I could only play dragon, I still managed to win him. Even though you see he has quite high level monsters, quite like high level summoners. And I win because I have good neutral monsters. I have a level 8 Gelatinous Cube, I have a level 7 Centaur, level 5 Grenadier, and a level 6 Cyclops. It's really powerful. So you want to have more win conditions aside from light. So for this, well, he got Kron, and then yeah, I don't know what happened here. I think I misplayed my characters. Oh, this one I lost because neutrals cannot be used. So I'm on a win. I'm on a win up here, right? I can't use any of my rental cards, and that's why I lost. And usually, if there is a light, I will win, and that's what you want to aim for. If there's your element, you have to win it. I remember having a streak of not being able to play light 11 times in a row, right? I think it's this one. I keep not being able to play light. So, yeah, so I've talked about the 4 parts of point 3. And now I'll be talking about some tips. If you are still in this video, congrats on being here for so long. And thanks for watching. Please leave a like, and I will post more of these videos where I just talk about my analysis on Google Docs and on the main game itself. Alright, so number 4, some tips for combat once you have assembled your deck, right? So the first tip is try not to surrender. When you can't play your element and you can't play the neutral monsters, right? When you can't play anything, just play the game. Know that you will lose already, just play the game. Why? Because sometimes they will surrender, and sometimes they forget that they are playing, right? They click the play button and then maybe they get some water and they get some food and forget that they are already in the game, and you might win. Try not to surrender. That's number 1, because you might get a lucky win. But the more important part of trying not to surrender is you are able to see what monsters other people pick. And let's say if you play water, right, and then you can't use the water element, and then you see someone using the darkness element, you take note of what darkness monsters they are using and why is it so good. And then maybe next time, right, when you want to assemble a full deck again, you can try darkness and you can use their cards, right? Get the inspiration from them. So try not to surrender. That's number 1. And the second one is always notice the opponent previous picks. Okay, what do I mean by that? When you're in Gold League, chances are people are also renting cards. And the same chances are they are also focusing on one element. So if they're only focusing on one element, they do not have cards for other elements. So let's say if their past 5 battles they have been playing Earth with the Sacred Llama Mage as the legendary summoner, and let's say if you can see one time they played Darkness but their monsters are not high level, you know that they are renting the cards. And with that, right, let's say if they only play Earth, maybe you can put in the Goblin Mech inside your deck as your tank, right? Because you know that they are not building a water deck or they are not building a magic Earth deck. Right? Always notice our opponent's previous picks and try to counter them. If you see them always use Mire Crawling, right? The return damage, the melee return, right? Don't play melee. Right? Just play range, just play magic. That's for the second point. Always notice the opponent's deck. And the third point I would give, and the last point that I have actually, is the same. Just focus on an element. Just focus on playing your cards and focus on playing your cards well. If you realize that, oh, you are missing something, like let's say, oh, every time you have one extra mana that you cannot use, or every time that your 4 mana card does not win their 4 mana cards if you are both playing the same element, focus on that element and get the card, right? It's okay to rent more cards because you will get back what you paid for, right? If you played like me, if you play, you get about 25 DEC every time you win. And right, if you have golden cards to add into your deck, you'll get more DEC. And if you play, you just have to play for about, like, right, you have to win 30 times. Which, if you talk about win rate, if you have a 50% win rate, you play 60 times, you get 900 DEC already. And this game is very fast, so 60 times isn't actually a lot. And when you rent out a new deck, you'll be very pumped up to play it, as is with me, right? So I can play a lot of games. I think I played about 50 to 60 games using this deck. Before, I think I got like kind of tired of it, and then I stopped at exactly 2500. So focus on an element. Okay, I think that's all for this video actually. Alright, and once again, if you've come to the end of this video, thanks a lot for watching. Remember to like and subscribe for more of these types of videos. I will not be changing my content anytime soon, so if you like my content, which is just writing on Google Docs and showing you my analysis, right, please share it with other people. And once again, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.